Jeff and I have been eating low carb for a few weeks now, and the other day I wanted keto pretzel bites. So I get into the kitchen and I whip something up. Well, guess what? They are not keto pretzel bites. They are even more delicious. Welcome to The Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. Today's recipe is super, super easy. And if you're eating low carb or can't have any kind of grains, you are gonna love this recipe. It is so perfect, it is so easy. Let's get right into it. We are making keto breadsticks, and I kid you not, they taste like breadsticks. They're amazing. Okay. First thing we're gonna put in is 1/2 cup or 2 ounces of almond flour. I'm using a stand mixer because it makes it really easy, but you could use a handheld mixer as well. Use the paddle attachment if you're using your stand mixer. 1/2 cup or 2 ounces of the almond flour, 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. Now, don't leave me, okay? Because you might say, that's it, I'm out. I don't like coconut flour in anything. I agree, 100%. I love coconuts, but I do not like coconut flour in anything. Trust me, you do not taste it, and it helps to absorb and create the dough. It works, I promise. Now, let's get to the seasonings because that helps mask up that coconut flour. I have 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. You could use less. I wouldn't recommend using any more, but you could use less if you want. But these are like a garlicky Italian breadstick, okay? So change up your spices however you want. But 1 teaspoon of garlic powder is what I used. 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of an Italian seasoning, and a pinch, up to maybe 1/4 teaspoon of fine grind sea salt or kosher salt. Don't use any more salt than that because there's cheese in this recipe, and cheese is salty, and you don't want them to be over salted. All right, now 1 large egg goes in. You just dump everything in and then we'll blend it up, so it's super easy. 1 ounce of Parmesan cheese, which the volume will depend on how it's shredded, okay? So this is about 1/4 cup. It weighs 1 ounce. That's what you want, 1 ounce of Parmesan cheese. Or if you don't have Parmesan or you don't like Parmesan, you could use all mozzarella or mozzarella provolone or an Italian blend. Then I have here 3 ounces, which is just about 3/4 cup of an Italian blend, okay? So whatever combination of cheeses you wanna use is perfectly fine. I would recommend using something that does have the mozzarella in it because I think that helps with the texture of the breadstick. But I didn't use all mozzarella because I didn't have it when I was making my pretzel bites, which I'm going to get into that story in a minute because it's hilarious. Why I thought this would work, I don't know. But anyway, it turned out with a great recipe, so I'm happy about it. So whatever you want, just total of 4 ounces of a shredded cheese and at least make part of it mozzarella, okay? All right, now let's get to blending. Just turn on your stand mixer. You turn it on low at first and then go up to medium and just keep going until you start to see it become like a crumbly dough. Then we're gonna add in some heavy cream. The amount of heavy cream that you add in will depend. Usually it's about 2 tablespoons, but I usually pour out about 3 just to make sure I have enough. It's like magic. Oh, and it smells so good. Oh my gosh. I really get that garlic. All right, so now we've got a crumbly mixture. Now I'm gonna pour in about 1 tablespoon at a time. And you're gonna see it magically transform into this dough that then we make our breadsticks with and we bake them. It's amazing. Another tablespoon in. It's coming together. Ooh, I'm so excited. Let's see. I still have a little bit more than a tablespoon, so I'm just gonna add just a touch, but not too much. So 2 tablespoons is what I used. All right, that's looking great. Now our last ingredient is baking powder. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Usually I add this before I add the cream in, but I forgot to add it in. So we're adding it in now, and it's gonna be okay. I might need to add just a touch of cream just to get it off of the bottom, and that's perfectly fine. But just a little touch, like maybe less than a teaspoon. And now we have our bread dough. Look at this. Of course, I don't think I would call it bread dough. I mean, it's not, but When you're eating low carb and you haven't had bread in a while, you get this excited about it. It's like, woo! And there we go. And then just get this off of here. Now we're gonna form our breadsticks and bake them up in a preheated 400-degree oven. Now, let me talk about texture. Well, first of all, let me talk about what I did with the pretzel bites. Oh my gosh, so hilarious. So I just threw some things in, which actually was very similar to these ingredients, except for I didn't have the extra spices in because I wasn't going for Italian breadsticks. I was going for pretzel bites. And I thought, well, the first time I'm not going to worry about trying to get that pretzel-y flavor with the baking soda wash and things like that. Let me just see if they work. And I put them into the oven and I put them as little pretzel bites, right? Oh my gosh, they weren't just anything like pretzel bites. Nothing at all like pretzels. But they were so good. I said, Jeff, we are on to something here. These are like hush puppies. So then I decided to make them a little bit bigger. So like take a scoop full and put them down like this. But then they didn't cook exactly the way I wanted. Now I could probably perfect that and get that right. But I thought, well, let's turn them into breadsticks so that they're thin enough to be crunchy on the outside, but bread-like on the inside. And when I say bread-like, I don't mean that chewy, delicious Italian bread, okay? That is not what we have. What we do have, though, is a crisp exterior, a fluffy, bread-like interior that goes perfectly either to dip in marinara sauce or serve with your favorite Italian dish. Anywhere you would serve breadsticks, you can serve these. They're delicious. Okay, let's get back to this. Okay, so once your mixture's done, I can just put it right over here. Take about 2 tablespoons. Now you can make these, of course, as big or as little as you want. I will tell you that if you make them as long as breadsticks, they're pretty filling. I'm gonna do that today because I want them to look just like you would, breadsticks, but they are very filling, okay? So just take your 2 tablespoons and roll it out until you get the length of the breadstick that you want. So I would say that's about right. And then put them on your sheet tray. I don't even worry about putting any parchment down. You absolutely could, but I've never had them stick. Now watch, this batch will stick because I'm doing a video. That's how it goes. But if it does, then you'll know. Don't do it like I did. Use parchment. Okay. So repeat that for all of them. Make sure your oven is preheated. That's very important. All right, so I got 10 breadsticks out of this. And what I wanted to mention is you want to keep about 3/4 to an inch in between the breadsticks because they do puff up a little bit. Not too much, but they do. They kind of flatten out and sort of spread a little bit. The other thing I wanted to mention is when you are rolling them, you can see I have some that are longer and some that are shorter. As you're rolling them, if you start to roll them too long, they're going to start to break apart. They're getting too thin. They're not holding together. So just use your judgment in that. You can make them pretty much as long or as short as you want, but you don't want them to be too thick, okay? So this is about the diameter of maybe a dime, and that is about the maximum thickness that you want these for the cooking temperature and time that we're going to do today, which is 400 degrees, preheated oven. Pop these in. We'll set the timer for 10 minutes and we'll take a peek at them after 8. Ooh, look at those. They look amazing. So I like to let them cool on the baking pan for just a minute or 2. Then I will remove them and put them on the cooling rack for another minute or 2. And then you want to serve them as soon as possible for the best eating experience because they're crispy on the outside and oh my gosh, soft and fluffy on the inside. All right, let's give them a try. Oh my gosh. So they are firm, crunchy, but look at the inside, fluffy. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love these. And they are perfect to serve with cauliflower steak Parmesan. So what I mean by that is it's a cauliflower steak, so a a big thick piece of cauliflower. Then I turned it into a Parmesan, like chicken Parmesan. These are gonna be amazing. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh. The textures are so good. Now, I will say these cool down a little more than I like. Oh, but the flavor is superb. When they are a little warmer, they're a little crisper on the outside. Oh my gosh, amazing.